Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Blizzard Watch podcast. I am Matt. I am the host. We have not one, not two, but three additional hosts. We are getting dangerously close to my fantasy of a Voltron host. We will just pilot our giant robot, robot owlbears? Yes, our robot owlbears together and form into, a Blizzard Watchtron. I mean, right now I'm thinking of, Digimon, where you'd have, the baby is a little pink dinosaur, then the middle form is a refrigerator, and the last form is an angel. That's seriously, if you ever find out about Angelmon, it's like that. That's crazy. But anyway, none of this has anything to do with Blizzard or its games. Although, guys, you should find out if the Digimon license is available, because I'm telling you, Warcraft Rumble Digimon Edition. Hey, there we go.
There's already a Digimon MMO in the works, and we can talk about that at some point if you really want to.
Yeah, we could, but I don't care that much. I just like the song better. But we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. And this week I didn't do the email at all because like I said earlier in the pre-show, I'm sad. So our ubiquitous and all-powerful Liz Harper was the one who put this document together. So everybody a thank her.
I wish I was all-powerful. That would make life so much easier. And yet here we are. Here we are.
Maybe it would and maybe it wouldn't, because then people would expect you to do things.
So you couldn't tell anyone you're all powerful. You'd have to keep it to yourself.
That explains a lot about Superman, now that I think about it. But anyway, in addition to Liz, who did this document for us, so yay. We've also got, of course, Joe, who was just talking. And we also have special emergency break glass backup host Phil with us, Phil Ulrich. Say hi, Phil. And say hi, Phil. Don't say hi, Phil.
Hi, Phil.
No, he's doing it. He's doing it wrong. The comma was in there. I put the comma in there that time. It's hard to put a comma in when you're talking. Anyway.
I should note that we have two Phils on the site, so don't get confused like the rest of us do.
This is not red.
This is a Phil.
Yes. No,
believe me, I'm very happy when people spontaneously give me compliments for Phil Xavier's articles. That no, I'm the other one. I'm Phil. Hi.
So anyway, stuff to talk about. First thing, let's talk about Warcraft Rumble. I don't know why I'm starting with Warcraft Rumble, because I don't know anything about Warcraft Rumble, but Liz plays it, so
a little.
Yeah, season 8 starting. That's cool, and we don't know anything apparently. I love how you wrote this. I'm going to try reading this in the style of an old timey. Season 8 is starting soon, and we know almost nothing officially about it. It's launching on August 20th, and there was a teaser today. Good chance we're getting Dryad Mini. Blizzard has been playing Rumble close to its chest and not announcing things early, but in-game the season show's ending in 7 days. That's my old timey radio guy voice.
That was good.
Yeah, you got there. Anyway, so yes, Liz, talk to me about this. What's the Dryad figure? What's going on?
There is literally nothing to say about it. Blizzard released a teaser today of a shadowy figure that appeared to be it kind of had that. It had 4 legs. Yes, and it had a body with little horns, and it looks a lot like a Dryad. I don't think any of us are going to be surprised if we wind up with a Dryad Mini in a week. But other than that, we don't know anything for sure about it. Blizzard does tend to wait until the last minute to announce Rumble news. So probably on August 20th, a new Rumble season will be starting, and maybe on August 20th, we'll know something about it.
Yes, it's entirely possible they could eventually tell us what's going on. To switch from that to people who actually do tell us quite a lot about what's going on, Diablo 4's got these, I don't even know what to describe them as. I was actually aware of this one because I was looking on the launcher today and seeing them and what's going on with this? They have these transmog sets for Diablo 4. If you don't know how Diablo 4 does its transmog sets, you basically have to buy this stuff. If you don't use the stuff that just drops in the game, you actually have to buy it using platinum, which is their in-game currency, which you then have to spend actual cash money on, which annoys me to no end. I don't want to have to buy a currency to buy things. Just let me buy things. We already have a currency to do that. It's called money. I'm already using it. But the reason they do that is in part because they don't want to give it a monetary value to things and then have to pay taxes on them and so forth. But regardless, they've got these new transmogs. One of them is really obviously Varian Wrynn. It's called the Gladiator, but it's Varian Wrynn. It's even got the helm of Varian in there. It's got his sword, Charlemagne. Straight up, the name is even there. So There's that. There's an obvious Sylvanas one. There's an obvious Kael'thas. Then there's one that I actually couldn't tell you who it was supposed to be. I don't know. I think it might have been Xalatath.
That is there's a Xalatath themed one. The Druid one was the one that threw me for a loop.
Yeah, I still, that one I don't know either. But regardless, go ahead, Liz.
They look incredible. They look completely incredible. They also cost $28 a piece if you convert the platinum cost into real world dollars. They cost 28 American dollars each, which is, that's a lot for something that's going to be...
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I recognized that it was the Druid said it's supposed to be Xavius. Sorry, Phil, I could have said that later. Sorry also to you, Liz. Go on.
I really love the Diablo 4 transmogs. They're beautiful, and all of them kind of cost in the $20 to $30 range for a full transmog set.
Mm-hmm.
And they show up on a tiny character in the middle of your screen that does not have the graphical fidelity of even World of Warcraft. So it's a hard sell. It's a hard sell.
Yeah, the only time you ever really get to see these sets is when you zoom in like I just did, or you go to the transmog thing, or when you do a cutscene and it's using your character. So suddenly there's your character with the armor they're wearing.
Because if you're doing seasonal gameplay and you skip the campaign, you don't get those cutscenes. So you got to zoom in to squint at your time.
Yeah, it is interesting. To a certain degree, it kind of feels weird sometimes, but I do really like the transmog. I mean, the variant set it's so close to the variant set from WoW that honestly, I don't get why we can't have this set. Like, why have you not done this in WoW this entire time? Why have you made a Xavius transmog for druids? The druids in WoW would love a Xavius transmog, so they could think about how much they're going to kill Malfurion, because a lot of people don't like Malfurion very much. So yeah, there's a Xalatath. Yeah, the dagger here is a Xalatath transmog. It's like unreal to me.
It's a necromancer set, and it is so cool looking. And I traditionally do play a necromancer, but I do not have 28 American dollars for something like this.
Yeah, for what is basically small pixels that are hard to see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is one of the stranger things about Diablo 4. I've said this before, and I'll probably say it again. In a world where we have there were two really big isometric RPGs in the past few years, but Baldur's Gate 3 and before that, Wrath of the Righteous, both have the ability to spin the camera so you can look around the world. If there's a building in your isometric game, you can swing the camera around and look at all the sides of it. Diablo doesn't have that. In 2024, they are about to unleash an expansion, and they still don't have that. And I honestly feel like it is the weirdest thing to not have. Like, it's got the zoom in feature where I can use my mouse wheel to go a little closer on my character, but the angle is so steep that I still can't see anything. So yeah, it is to me crazy that in 2024 CE we don't have the ability to turn the camera in a Diablo game. It's like, well, what? Why not? Is there a reason I can't turn the camera here? Like, I'm constantly trying to do it, so I don't know. But anyway, the transmogs themselves are beautiful. They're also the Sparkle Pony. If you guys remember the Sparkle Pony from World of Warcraft, you can get that.
I mean, it does have a name. It's the Celestial Steed in World of Warcraft. Though I did call it Sparkle Pony in my notes because it's the Sparkle Pony.
Everybody calls it that.
How can you miss that? Honestly, if I were going to buy one of these, it would be the Sparkle Pony. I am an OG owner of the World of Warcraft Sparkle Pony. That was the first microtransaction. That was the first, cosmetic thing you could purchase with real money in World of Warcraft. And I think Blizzard was kind of blown away by how many people gave them 25 American dollars for that horse. And now we've destroyed everything because everything is cosmetic horses that cost $25.
Listen, I'll take cosmetic horses that cost $25 versus, hey, you want to keep playing the game? Unlock this content for $25. Hey, you want to go on this mission and complete this quest? Hey, pay to another $25. As long as we don't get to that point, cosmetic stuff all day long, all day long.
I will say that it's interesting to me that the mount in question, which is called Born of the Stars here, it's 2,500 platinum, which means it is essentially 25 USD.
Yes,
so its price has not gone up. It's still $25.
I mean, accounting for inflation, the $25 I paid for the original Celestial Steed in a couple of years ago is probably a lot more than that. But yes, this feels like a lot of money to pay for a horse, even if it's sparkly.
And to the comment in chat, what is an expansion if not that? You're not wrong, but you're also not 100% right. Let's wait till we get to the microtransaction expansion, where every quest must have a currency in order to unlock it. Anyway.
Well, we already have things where you have to grind a different currency to do things, so yeah. But now we shall jump forth into things that are not Warcraft Rumble or Diablo, because most of the rest of the stuff we've got is not Warcraft Rumble or Diablo. Right now, patch 11.0.2 is live in World of Warcraft. Go ahead, Liz.
I was wondering what it could be if it's not Diablo 4 or Warcraft Rumble.
It turns out it's World of Warcraft.
Here we are.
I know. How odd.
They still make that game?
Patch 11.0.2.
They're still making that?
Yep, they still are. Extended downtime. I don't know if that's actually up. I jumped straight into Diablo.
It is indeed online. It actually came up about an hour early. It was supposed to come up at 6 p.m. Eastern, which that's a pretty long maintenance for a day that's not a pre-patch or a major patch. But here we are. It came up at about 5 o'clock Eastern tonight. So it's early. I'm good for it.
Patch notes for this patch, which I'm going to read every single one in a very slow amount. I'm kidding.
Then we'll be here for another hour and a half because they're that long. But
it is actually a lot of patch notes. I'm looking at it right now.
It's a lot of nitpicky stuff. It's a lot of balance adjustments. This talent moved here. This is 20% stronger. This is 10% weaker. It's a whole lot of that. So
I'm just going to read you one change.
Okay.
Let's go. One change that I think kind of sums up what's going on. Regrowth initial heal increased by 27%, and its healing over time decreased by 3%.
It's like 10,000 words of that.
Yeah, and the thing about that is all these healing changes are basically like adjustments to upfront healing and decreases to heal over time, or adjustments to pop up burst healing and keep the race of healing where you're trying to constantly fight the damage, make that harder. You can see this if you look at these changes. There's a lot of changes that seem aimed at working on that ticking aspect of healing, the heal over time aspect, to make it less impressive.
Although I will say, I finally am starting to see some of the things that I was looking for with or expecting, which is, I think Phil and I commented on this in our guild Discord, but it's like Shaman, we're waiting for them to be nerfed, and then nothing happened, and then this feels weird to me, and then I'm looking at Restoration, all healing reduced by 5%. There it is. It's starting. All right. Well, the universe is right. Things are starting to align. I'm waiting for the steady decline.
Well, I think
it feels right again.
Just to get to the Shaman thing, just briefly, as somebody who is going to probably play my Shaman again, there are some things that are going up, like healing surge. Healing is up.
Yeah,
but a lot of it, again, it's the Shaman are very good healing over time people. They're not.
No, we're not.
No. The goal here, at least it looks like to me, what they're trying to do is make it have more of a parity with other classes like Druid. But here's an example of something that I think is really bizarre. Windrush Totem and Static Field Totem now cost 1% of base mana. Previously had no cost. That's odd to me. All the totems seem to have some kind of change, like a cooldown or a cost that I don't recall them having.
Well, this goes back to what I think, again, Phil and I called this pretty early in the beta cycle for it. Totemic was really, really strong. On paper, it is possibly the strongest of the hero talents for Shaman, and it revolves around, well, as the name suggests, totems. And the problem was, you could be completely out of mana and still be out healing other people in content because the totems that you were getting cost nothing. And those nothing totems procced free healing spells, which meant that with no mana, with no concern for mana, you could still keep going. And I didn't want to be too vocal about it because, I'm not going to lie, it was kind of nice. But it didn't make a whole lot of sense. So adding even a 1% cost makes sense. If you are completely out of mana, congratulations, you don't get your free totem. There's no such thing as free totems anymore. And honestly, that's probably where it should have been, because you can't break the system anymore. And that little tiny change keeps everything that was cool about it in place and doesn't really take anything away from the class, but means that you're not just going to see people spamming, looking for shaman for, mythic plus 20 on day one, right?
And looking also at like torrent, the torrent changes a buff, the Riptide change, the Unleashed change, Unleashed Life, Healing Wave. These are all buffs, but then you see Ascendance drops healing by 10%.
Huge nerf.
And Ancestral Gardens now transfers 10% of all healing, a drop from 25%. So it feels like what they're doing here, and I really said this poorly when I said it before, but it feels like what they're doing here is taking the burst healing and moving that up into parity with other classes. At least trying to get it up. But then they're taking the thing that Shaman, saying that they do AoE healing or tick healing over time isn't really accurate, but they kind of can. Like I mean, any class that's got the toolkit that a Shaman has can be good in a wide variety of situations, but this feels like they're like the heal over time on Earth Living Weapon duration is now reduced to 6 seconds.
That's actually
but the healing's been increased by 75%. I was just going to say that. Right?
Yeah. Well, no,
but
even
then
the
you've
time
got Soothing Spirits health healing reduced by 35%. There's a lot of adjustment in these patches. If I poured out Holy Pallies, then I could be doing this with Liz.
But I was going to say, I was just going to
take an hour.
Yeah, just to get to the finite point right now, and as Padilla in chat points out, and this is very, very true, we're doing changes, and these are changes at 70. We're not in the expansion yet. The expansion's coming, but we're not at level 80. We're not at endgame content. So these changes are ostensibly meaningless currently until we get to that content and see how things go and how they play out. So,
actually, you know what it reminds me of? The last major fix to Wrath of the Lich King. They suddenly changed a bunch of stuff, and the first week, and they didn't understand what it was all made. It was changes made with level, with the Cataclysm levels in mind. They're going to go to 85 and get new stuff, so they made those changes. And what happened was Fury Warriors became god tier DPS for a week.
Mm-hmm.
We were so good. You didn't even need the soul, Frostmourne there, Soulmourne, Blackmourne, whatever the heck that. I have the axe and I can't remember its name. But Shadowmourne, you didn't even need it. You didn't need the proc. You didn't need anything. I went into a dungeon at a time where I think the rogue managed 5k DPS. I did 9k as a tank, as a warrior tank, before they put in the mechanic for taking damage and dealing more. The thing where your tank suddenly does ridiculous amounts more damage. That wasn't even in there yet. And I was doing it. I just destroyed things. And they had to come in and nerf it. These adjustments feel like they weren't really paying attention, and the PvP adjustments in particular feel like they weren't really paying attention to what the stuff at level 80 would do to level 70.
Mm.
Yeah, almost all of these are the tuning patches they've been doing PTR ever since the pre-patch dropped. Like pre-patches dropped and been getting hot fixes, but simultaneously the beta has been getting non-stop tuning changes, as you always get going into an expansion. I was a little surprised that they chose to drop them early this time instead of like a day of patch, but I guess they can't really do a day of patch since there's 2 day ofs now. But with early access and the actual launch day.
I also gotta say I am looking over Paladins because again I do play one, although I'm not doubt I'll get to max level this time. And there are a lot of really weird target changes. Like the one that really gets me is Lightforge Blessing now affects 2 additional allies, was 4. But that's a significant nerf to that. And a lot of the adjustments are set very similar. It's very similar to the Shaman. I can't speak to other classes. I don't play a priest, so I couldn't tell you. But it's definitely very similar to Shaman in terms of like the adjusts up and down. So many different heals have had their damage. Many spells have had their damage decreased. And then if they do damage and healing, they've had the damage decreased and then the healing slightly increased. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
I think basically check the patch notes for your class. We could not possibly go through them all and not in any kind of depth. Yeah, we would be here for another 2 hours. And that'd be maybe not our best podcast.
But we should actually mention this because Phil just mentioned it. Next week, if you've got the early access already, like if you bought it when you, which is it on the specific edition of the pre-order?
It's included in the Epic edition, has early access. So that top tier edition has early access.
So if you've bought that, you will get to start playing The War Within next week. So yeah, do you actually get to go to the new content?
Yeah, you get to do it.
That's the thing I was having a hard time understanding.
I don't think you have anything harder than a normal dungeon open, but outside of that, you get to go to the Chasm Bar. You get to start leveling.
I want to throw this out to you because I want to know if I'm misremembering something. Didn't early access like this stuff usually, like, didn't it happen before at the beginning of a week and not the weekend? Like with the actual release in the weekend, or am I misremembering?
I don't remember this ever happening.
I don't remember World of Warcraft having early access. I remember in other MMOs.
Is a first.
Is it a first for the early start?
Yeah.
I don't remember WoW ever doing this in a different edition because I've never been able to do this, and I've bought back when I had reliable income. I bought the highest tier of several editions of this game.
Yeah, and with the previous expansions, didn't they release did they release on a weekend or did they release during a week?
There's been launches on different days all over the place.
I think it's usually Tuesdays though.
It's usually Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember for Cataclysm it wasn't because it was on my birthday and my birthday was like Saturday. So, but otherwise, it's usually Tuesday if they can possibly swing it. And of course, in Europe it'd be Wednesday. But that's happening. So go ahead.
So let me clarify that it is launching on August 22nd at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And you only have access to normal dungeons. There's a lot of stuff you can't do. You can't go into the raid yet. You can't start working on your Mythic Plus rating. None of that's going to be there until later. And even things like heroic dungeons are locked down until the actual War Within launch on August 26th.
But you can't get to max level, right?
You could if you want to burn through your 10 levels and get to max. Yes, you can do all of your leveling if you want. And
people are going to do it the first day. I mean, come on.
I know.
Mitch is going to do it.
I know they will.
Maticus is going to do it.
I'm probably not going to be there the first day, but I'll work on it. So we'll see. But there's a lot of stuff locked down. This is a head start on leveling. Blizzard has tried to stress that. It lets you start leveling earlier. It does not give you a bonus content. It doesn't let you start out-gearing your friends who aren't playing over this first early access weekend. You're leveling a little earlier. You're not starting to get into any competitive content.
I will say I am legit looking forward to it though, because I really enjoyed the beta and I had a lot of fun like getting to explore things, and I'm looking forward to getting to see the full release of it. And I am really I think weekday releases always kind of mess with me because I work essentially 3 full-time jobs. So like when I do have time on the weekends to enjoy something, that's usually the first time I get to enjoy the expansion. So being able to get an early start and being able to do it on a weekend when I can actually maybe sit down and spend some quality time with it, I'm super here for that. And I'm really I didn't think I was going to be excited about it, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yes, this is really cool. I'm here for it. I'm really excited. Even if the game is a hot mess on release, which it inevitably will be, at least I can sit here with a cold beer or, petting my dog and waiting for everything to chill out and then go back into the content. I'm okay with this.
Liz, Phil, you guys either have anything else you want to say on this before?
No, I'm like Joe. I'm looking forward to see what they do because I've played through. I think people will be surprised how fast you can burn through the story. In this expansion, but I'm very interested to see because when I've played through some of these zones, it was early enough that side content was not really filled out yet, be interactable or wouldn't be there at all. And so I know there's a lot of that extra stuff in the zone that's always some of the meaty fun stuff and that I purposely did not go back and look at to be myself surprised. But you're talking about people leveling up through this early access. I think it's very feasible just because of how fast you can go through the story campaign. I'll also be interested to see if delves are open because I think
I can hear 6K. I can hear 6K just chanting somewhere. Just go delves.
I I'm so sad 6K did not opt to play his warlock named Delves for the first season, but
give it time.
Maybe there's always season 2.
Okay, I was still thought there was more coming, but no, there wasn't. So I feel like a jerk. Sorry, guys. Maybe I'm disconnected. I don't know. Someone please speak.
No, I hear you.
Okay, thank
You're
God.
good.
All right, Miss Pandaria Remix is ending on August 19th. We're recording this on the 13th, so you've got 6 days, guys. And you have less
Probably
than that
less,
if you're
probably less than that.
recorded. Yeah.
Yes.
So August 19th, it ends. You're going to at least transitioning to the retail game. You're going to basically get level 467 gear and 30 slot bags. So, I mean, you could theoretically sit down and level a character to 70 in Miss Pandaria Remix, and then you convert over. And it might be a nice way to spend a couple of days and get yourself a character to 70 for you to then level in the new expansion. Hey, leveling. It
could be a good way if you want to switch mains, if you just want to switch races without having to pay to race change, if you want to switch factions, which is less important than ever, but if you want to make any of those changes,
you're finally going to make that Tauren priest. Come on.
Exactly. If you're okay, I've been playing this troll priest for all these years, but what I really want in my heart is to be a Tauren priest. This is a very easy, very fast way to do that. I know because I have managed to level 2 evokers. Me, the person who hates doing the same thing more than once, but I leveled an alliance evoker, and then I'm like, well, maybe actually I should have a horde evoker because most of my guild is horde, and there's still some content you can't do cross faction, and so if I can do this, you too, listener, could also do this.
You're the listener at home.
Yes.
Also, we've got a cool link here about the special rewards from Remix that I think we should probably talk about because it's a post from our site. And unfortunately, my computer is I don't want to open anything today. I'm tired. I mean, but there's Pandaria Zone achievements. There's lots of stuff. Go ahead, Liz.
I mean, there are quite a few unique rewards, and it's not too late to get them if you go in there and hurry. Actually, Phil, do you know this better than I do? Kind of the rundown on the unique stuff that's in Remists?
Sure. So just getting the stuff from the zone achievements, every one of which is unique in that it's either brand new, like some of the transmogs, or it's a recolor, like there's the golden recolor of the Elegant Dragon Mount. All that stuff is new. All of it is tied to an achievement, and none of the achievements are too onerous because, yes, they're key to each zone, but then it's do 2 of the things in there, and you can kind of pick I'm just going to pick on Jade Forest here. It's got the Cherry Blossom Trail toy, which causes you to leave cherry blossoms where you walk, which is cool. But you just have to pick 2 out of any of these, which is doing all the Jade Forest storyline, completing the Order of the Cloud Serpent rep, or there's what they call tour, which they have a tour in each zone. Tour the Jade Forest, which is just find a couple treasures, kill a couple rares, and map the zone out. Which there's a shortcut to the map, which I'll talk about in a second. Or just doing one specific dungeon in 2 scenarios, the ones from Jade Forest. And you can just pick which ones you want to do. For a lot of these, I didn't want to do the quests because I was going around doing these at 70. Krasarang Wilds requires you to either do all the quests or do Tour Krasarang Wilds, which is find 1 treasure, beat 3 rares, and map the those take maybe 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how many rares are up. And so if these are something that you want out of Remists, they don't require much in the way of gear. They're very easy to check off. And there's a lot of cool rewards in there. There's a half hill farmer's backpack with a chicken sitting on it.
That's the best one. That's the best one.
There's 2 different versions of Chen's Storm Stout's hat, and I didn't realize this until somebody pointed out. If you're a monk and you're using the version of Chen's hat that sits on your back, and you transmog into one of the Brewmaster weapons from Legion, the ones that sit on your shoulder when you draw them, they sit in the open part of the hat. So they don't clip. They actually look really cool. So like none of these are very difficult. All of these are very cool. You can get a couple free ensembles, some free pets, a mount, without a whole lot of effort or without needing a group. Because I know some people don't want to, they just, for whatever reason, they don't want to pug groups. I will say that if you do, or you're the least bit anxious about it, Remist is one of the most pug-friendly environments because everybody understands everybody is just in it for, cosmetics and mounts and pets and things like that. So like, people are perfectly willing to go, okay, here's a 25 applying to my Mogushon Vaults group. I'm not going to kick them. They're obviously just trying to get their experience threads so they can level in 3 hours or whatever. This is just something you can knock out over the space of like a lazy afternoon with a beard. So there's a lot of cool stuff in Remist. And if nothing else, I would recommend some of these cool little achievement things.
All right. This next one I wanted to mention for quite a bit. What was really interesting to me about this is that we've actually got a potential screenshot from Wowcast of a Drakthir warrior, possibly a Drakthir warrior, or just somebody in a Drakthir. But I'm going to hope. Are we getting that sooner rather than later? Are we getting that before the expansion actually comes out? I don't have an answer to that question, but it would be cool.
The Wowcast video came out today, and it had a screenshot of the warband screen, and one of the things it showed was a Drakthir dual-wielding axes. So, and, in the kind of warrior pose, they kind of have, everyone sort of has their pose on the script. Maybe I'm making that up. Maybe not. But
No, you're right.
It looked very much like a warrior, and it was definitely a Drakthir. You cannot mistake Drakthir for anything else.
I'm looking at the picture right now. And it is certainly looks like it's Titan Scrippy. Because I know that axe. It's that axe model is.
It's a Wrath model.
Yeah, that is an old weapon model. So yeah, that's almost certainly somebody with Titan's grip. So either Drakthir suddenly just get Titan's grip too. Why not? Or perhaps they've actually got warriors, which I think is cool. I like warriors. I don't know what you guys expect.
I was gonna say I think a lot of people have been waiting to see Drakthir into other classes. Evokers are cool and all, but I think a lot of people had fantasy of being their dragon warrior or their dragon shaman or their a dragon paladin if you're really want to go back to some Dragonlance stuff. I think there's definitely a desire for it. And they've said that they were looking at that. Like whether or not that's coming sooner than later, don't know. But they've already freely admitted that they were looking at making other classes available to Drakthir. So I think it's cool. I think people have an excitement coming on. Go ahead, Phil.
I think the wording they gave was that it would happen. Like, I think it's definitely confirmed with the War Within. We just don't know when.
Yeah.
It'll be at some point after launch. I did think that this would be a really funny thing for them to drop today as part of this giant maintenance for no reason. Hey, we got all these tuning changes, and also Drakthir gets 6 more classes. But I know part of that has also been that they've had to figure out what they were going to do because Drakthir evokers have talents in their class tree explicitly tied to improving their racial ability. And I think the thing that I want to say Morgan Day said this in an interview, but do not quote me or Morgan Day, was that essentially they would have the same racials as if they were an evoker. They just wouldn't have talents to them. So like you're not going to be able to get tail sweep 15 seconds or whatever. But I also think this is a nod to the thing they did at BlizzCon, where one of the early mock-ups of the warband screen had a Drakthir who was very clearly wearing leather armor.
Yep.
So I feel like this is just a nod back at that, and I don't think it's going to be very far into the expansion before we see it. I don't know that we're going to get a paladin. I suspect they'll probably just get the list of classes that everyone else gets. So warrior, rogue, mage, priest, warlock, monk, I guess. Probably not Death Knight after they took that away from the Earthen too. I think that has ceased to be something that every race gets now. But I admit some of these would be kind of cool. Like I think a Drakthir would actually be pretty cool. I just don't like dealing with their transmog situation.
Nope.
But speaking of transmog, the War Within beta is also going to be throwing in a little bit more. The change that they've added on the beta right now, it's not coming out live, but it will eventually. Obviously, we hope. But you can basically complete a quest in beta, and when you do these quests, you get transmog changes for specific transmog gear for classes, which is really kind of amazing. Getting class gear for transmog through a relatively easy method, that's kind of cool.
Well, just if you did the quest on, you know, a leather wearer and there was a transmog option for a plate wearer, then you could unlock both of them by doing a quest. Note this is only in the beta right now, and it is not coming with launch.
Yeah, this was something that people interpreted a comment at BlizzCon to say was definitely coming, and in the beta it did behave like this, where you did a quest and it would give you the reward, like the appearance of all the rewards, so you didn't have to go and do every quest on 4 different characters or however many. But then it wasn't happening in live, and people assumed it was a bug. And the official response from Blizzard was, no, the version on the beta is a bug. And I think they were taken aback by how people responded to that, because it was kind of, I hate using his face, it was kind of a slap in the face to the collection-focused stuff they added with warbands. Like, it's so easy to collect everything except armor from quests. Go do those 4 times. You don't have to repeat anything except quests. So I'm really glad they walked this one back, or else whoever said,
I wouldn't say that they walked it back so much as they just straight up said, oh, that's what you want. Oh, okay. Because the changes that they're working on is, you can collect non-cosmetic class-restricted gear, even when playing on a class that can't usually get them. So you'll be able to get your paladin, can get, you know, your priest gear. I can't remember the name of any priest gear. Sorry, but
the cool thing about this, though, if you just saw when they were testing this in the beta, is it is retroactive. When you log in on a character, you will actually be able to, you know, the little messages that appear in your chat log when you add an appearance, you will actually see it going back through your quest history, adding things to your transmog library when you first log in.
Any quest that you've previously completed should give you all appearances when you log on to that character.
Hopefully they
I'll get to log my first warrior on, because holy cow, does he have some stuff. Yeah, that's really cool. Actually, I'm really happy about that. I'm also cool about the fact that you'll unlock all appearances from those quests, no matter what the armor type is. So if you did a quest that had, like, say, those tiny little, those distressing shorts, the barber shorts, whatever they were called, you'll get them. And you'll also get all the other stuff from that. So yeah, this is pretty cool. We don't know when it's coming, other than it is after the War Within launch. So cool, but we don't know exactly when we're getting this. But it's considering all the other transmog stuff we've already seen, this is really cool. It is something that I'm very excited for. However, that's pretty much everything Liz had here, because as she pointed out, we're mostly seeing more stuff next week. So next week we're going to have a lot more to talk about, but this week we talked about that stuff, and now we're going to move on to questions. As is always the case, if you've got a question for the site, you can go to our Discord server and you can ask either on the Q and Podcast questions channel, which is for everybody. If you don't even play a Blizzard game, if you've never even heard of us, if you're just walking by somebody who's listening to this on a boombox like it's the 1980s for some reason, I don't know how they even got it, but regardless, you can still go to our Discord server and you can leave a question in that channel. But if you'd like to make sure that we are more likely to look at your questions, we do have the patron Q and Podcast questions channel, which means y'all can slip us some money and we're more likely to go, oh, thank you, and then, you know, answer your question. It's not bribery, it's love. So love us with your money in bribe form. Anyway, that's also, you can email us if you don't want to spend money, but you also don't want to use Discord. You can email us at podcast@blizzardwatch.com with the subject line podcast of Blizzard Watch, so Joe and I can finally stop, you know, our careful watching of each other going, are you going for that one? You reaching for it? You're reaching for it? No, we can just know, okay, you mean this for that show, and we can leave it alone. Or Tavern Watch. If you want to ask us questions for Tavern Watch, we will absolutely answer them. Tavern Watch questions, you can ask them in the other 2 channels as well. So just a note. But we're going to look at these. What we got here? I got to scroll my wheel down. Alrighty. I'm going to do this one, which really feels like it could have been a Lore Watch one, but Tetsemi says, question for the Blizzard Watch podcast. What question do you want War Within to answer, and what question do you want the trilogy to answer? Who wants to go first? I'm going to throw Phil into it. Phil.
Oh, no. I don't have a good answer for this. Loader, do you have one prepared?
Prepared? No, I can kind of BS my way through it, though, because, you know, I'm a professional. Yeah, so the problem with this is it's a loaded question, because part of our lore watchy, tinfoil hatty, relies on them never really definitively answering certain things, or at least taking a while to do so, or waiting till we make a prediction and then, taking our ideas and making them real. As far as like what I want specifically to have the trilogy answer, I'll just say this: what the hell is Azeroth? Like, legitimately, we keep referring to it as a Titan, or it's not a Titan, or it's been corrupted, it's not been corrupted, it's been through so much, is it even a Titan anymore? Was it part of this the first one's plan? Whatever. Give me something that points me in a direction with it. Because right now, I mean, Azeroth is Chekhov's Titan egg, right? Like it has the infinite potential to be everything. It's the ultimate sort of MacGuffin. But that also means it means almost nothing. We can talk about it and speculate about it, but until they give us something to start pointing us in the direction of any of the thousands of threads that they've put down for it, it's sort of just one of those points that like we're never going to. It'll just be like this infinite quest to figure out what the hell she is. So that's what I want. I want them to at least give us a direction to start moving in with it. That's what I want by the end of this trilogy. Next.
Okay, I'll go. I know they're going to answer this one, and I even know some of it because it's right there. It's a big part of Hallowfall. So I'm just going to say the Arathor, the Arathi Empire and Arathor. One of the things that's really I don't even know how to say how interesting I find this is that the War Within is actually putting out, just like Dragon Flight did, it's putting out even more stuff that we will probably see later in other expansions. And one of them is the fact that the Arathi, who kind of fell in the Eastern Kingdoms, I mean, they were around for a while, but their empire ultimately fell, there's a going concern. There's an Arathi Empire somewhere else on Azeroth. And it's from that Arathi Empire, which was founded essentially by people who left the Eastern Kingdoms and built it somewhere else in the world. Obviously, it's not any place we've currently been to, so that's a thing to think about. But they then built Hallowfall. So that's something I've wanted to hear more about for a long time. And I'm very excited for that. I'm also very excited for whoever Farron Lothar is, because that last name means they're a member of the Arathi bloodline, specifically direct descendants of Arathor, just like Anduin Lothar was. So that's cool. And I'd like to know what's going on with that. I'd like to know what's going on with these new Arathi, who their emperor is, where they are. That's all stuff I want to know. And it's stuff they're at least going to start talking about. It's certainly going to be something we get in the trilogy, and we're probably going to get a chunk of it in the War Within, because it's a big part of Hallowfall. So yeah, that's mine. That's my answer. Liz or Phil?
I will say you're in for a treat with Farron Lothar. Farron is one of my new favorite characters going into this expansion. I have two questions that I want answered by the end of the expansion, I think. One is, one by the expansion, one by... There are so many theories about what she actually is, but I want to know definitively what in the heck Xal'atath actually is. I have my pet theory, and I know they've put forward a lot of things that are possibilities. But even I remember the priest lore book was really sketchy about what she actually is, because she plays her cards pretty close to the chest. I want to know what she actually is. Right now, she comes off like a horror movie ghost in that new video, and I love it. The other one, and maybe this is a longer term one, is I want to know where the heck Ashara went and what she's doing. She's too big a lore figure to have just left us with a cryptic quip and then disappeared into a portal forever. I think we'll see her again. She's intimately tied to all the voidy storylines. I don't think we get out of Midnight without seeing what happened to Ashara. So I'm looking forward to my Tentacly Queen.
I would just like to know, and maybe we do know this more than I do, but what is going on with the old gods? Because there was the thing where the Titans couldn't defeat them, and so the Titans imprisoned them instead in Azeroth, and that's been the cause of all of Azeroth's problems forever. But then we, the heroes of Azeroth, come along and defeat, in quotation marks, each of these old gods one at a time. And it feels like we're heading into the expansion where the void is paramount. So, are they defeated? Where are they? What have they been up to? I mean, this is probably the question that's most likely to get answered, at least in some form. But I've been wondering, it seems like each expansion, every couple of expansions, Blizzard rolls out an old god for us to fight. And it's like, did we just kill an old god when the Titans couldn't figure out how to kill old gods? It seems unreasonable.
Case in point, they knew how to kill an old god. I mean, or at least they're limited. They plucked Shiraj out and like squeeze him like a pimple. So like, and he's no longer Yashiraj. Its entity has changed, but they know how to kill him. They know how to kill old gods. They just not very good at it.
They never tried the power of being very small and beating them up with 24 your best friend.
Oh,
we fight them from inside their own bodies. So that's something Titans can't do.
Inside
in point of fact, we are in fact like a disease that kills old gods.
We have literally been inside every single old god, every single one of them that we've encountered.
I don't like that thought at all.
No, seriously. Okay, well, I'm sorry. We're going to an uncomfortable place. Strap in, folks. We're magic school bus in this one.
It's like the backseat of a Volkswagen.
But like when we first meet Cthulhu, what is one of the first things that happens? There's a whole phase about you being swallowed and having to fight your way out. Yogg Saron, you literally go inside of his brain room and like beat up his brain. We literally are breaking into the body of N'Zoth. Every old god we have encountered, we go inside of them. We magic school bust the hell out of them. Like, it is just how this happens. Titans can't do that. We're special. We're small and mighty. We're the white blood cells.
It's gene warfare. They've made the entire Titan approach to war seems to be make a smaller version of us that can do stuff we can't because it's smaller.
Yeah,
like it's like if you make an influenza plague, but you made an influenza plague that was just tiny people, like really small people who are just going, yeah, we're gonna kill you with influenza. Ah! It's like that. But at this point, I feel like we've kind of answered that question at least, and we managed to get Joe to talk really animatedly about how
Mistress ain't got nothing on us
deep inside the old gods. But this next one, I'm going to read from Marie, and it's probably going to be Liz, who's the only one who can speak authoritatively about the subject. Podcast question: with the site's 10th anniversary coming up, will we be getting awesome new 10-year merch? Waggles eyebrows. So, Liz, talk about this. And waggle your eyebrows if you feel like it.
I'm trying. I'm not really good at eyebrow waggling. You can imagine it. Imagine it.
Just lie to them. You can just say you're good at it. They can't see you.
We hope to do something really special for our 10th anniversary. We have ideas, but the ideas it is still a while. That'll be February 2025, which is a year we are approaching. So we have thoughts and ideas and plans which have not coalesced into an actual thing. But we really want to do something special for the 10th anniversary. So, yes, question mark. That's the plan. The plan is to have some cool new merch and maybe some other stuff on the site for this shiny new 10 years. We've been doing this for 10 years, you guys. I don't know how that happened, but here we are.
Okay, I'll try not to scream. But yes, it has been 10 years. And also, by the way, it's 6 months. February is 6 months from now. Half a year.
I'm obligated to do this. Hey, Liz, the expansion launches next week.
What? When did that happen? Why didn't anyone tell me this?
It will have happened in a week. But okay, next question. All right. I'll ask this one. Roxy, question for the podcast. It's Roxy here with a question on today's patch. Has the death of melee holy paladins been greatly exaggerated? And if not, why is their mastery still melee? I don't know. Who can we ask about this one? Joe. No.
I mean, the essential holy paladin in melee thing really came into being when Blizzard re-added holy power to the spec back in Shadowlands. Because before then, we were pretty free to stand where we want and cast our spells. We didn't have any special resources to generate. We just had mana. Easy! you just have mana and you got to conserve your mana and but you're a spellcaster. That's all you need to do. But Blizzard re-added Holy Power to the game in Shadowlands, and the best way to generate Holy Power was to be in melee range and keep hitting Crusader Strike as much as humanly possible. You can only do Crusader Strike in melee range, and the math of it just worked out where Crusader Strike was your only option. At the same time, our mana-powered heals were very weak, and our Holy Power spending heals were very strong. So you had to stay in melee to make your healing work at all. And, it was an interesting expansion. I think a lot of people came to really enjoy this. Holy Paladins could really push out some damage with that Crusader Strike, and particularly with the Venthyr ability Ashen Hollow, which was a very strange giant blood puddle on the ground, which was weird to see your paladin casting, but there you go. That's how it worked. And I think a lot of people enjoyed that playstyle, but Blizzard has kind of continually nerfed paladin damage because, we had this expansion, Holy Paladins are suddenly in there doing damage, which seemed to surprise Blizzard. So we've had a continual series of nerfs to the damage this spec can do. And then in early Dragonflight, Blizzard went in with a change that gave us 2 charges of Holy Shock. Holy Shock is another big Holy Power generator, but we used to have 1 charge, and it's on a short cooldown, but it's still on a cooldown. And so that really gave us more options. And also Judgment generated Holy Power. Previously, it generated Holy Power for protection and retribution, but not Holy. So now, suddenly, Holy Paladins have multiple options to generate Holy Power from range. And at the same time, I believe at some point we lost the ability to get 2 charges of Crusader Strike. I'm pretty sure that's a thing. So you could just do... It kind of fell apart. They've been nerfing the melee stuff while simultaneously giving us more power to stay out of melee range. And anyone who has played this game knows that melee range is very dangerous. It's a dangerous, scary place to live. So now you really have this option to stay out of melee range, and there's no advantage, or the advantages are very small for being in it because of these damage nerfs. Blizzard just removed the Holy Paladin talent that let you get 2 Holy Power by hitting Crusader Strike. So this is generating less Holy Power than ever. The advantage of staying in melee range is so slim. And with the 2 charges of the 2 charges of Holy Shock and getting a Holy Power from casting Judgment, you can just be swimming in Holy Power, standing anywhere you want. It doesn't matter. You've got the Holy Power. So it feels like melee range Holy Paladins have fewer reasons than ever to stay in melee range. You're just not getting a lot of advantage over it. And the mastery is a little weird in this context because our mastery heals people more the closer you are to them. And of course, we have our only AoE heal. Mostly our only AoE heal is Light of Dawn, which is a frontal cone, which is 15 yards baseline. That's not very big. So you have to be very mindful of your positioning and stick with some portion of your group, which is the group you heal. But you no longer have to stick in melee. And there are not many advantages to your healing or to your damage by doing that. So I think melee Holy Paladins no longer have much going for them. It's not necessarily that they're dead, but there's no big benefit to staying in melee, and there's a lot of benefits to staying out of it in terms of not getting crushed by the boss doing a localized AoE, or turning around and smashing you with his hammer, So I would never say that they are dead, because Blizzard loves to swing back and forth wildly on what Holy Paladins do and what their role in a group is. But the question of it comes down to Holy Power. And because so much Holy Power generation has transitioned out of melee and into ranged abilities, you're going to see more ranged Holy Paladins. And I think you have the second half of Dragonflight. And I think that's a trend that's going to continue because of this loss of this Crusader Strike talent. because we keep seeing damage nerfs, there are just not reasons to stay in melee. So, but Blizzard could always walk that back. They have done before with lots of things. We will have to see.
Okay, that answers Roxy's question. We started a little bit after the hour, so I think we can try one more. We're going to go with Verdigree here. Are Warcraft mages wizards or sorcerers?
Yes.
Joe says yes. Liz?
I was going to say they're technically both, because really the only distinction in Warcraft is whether or not they actually have official training versus just natural talent. And there are plenty of folks that fall into both camps. We've run into wild mages. We've run into Quillen. There are Quillen mages that they haven't had any formal training, but they can still use magic just fine, and would probably likely fall more into the sorcerer category. But I think everybody has sort of like in the universe, at least the way that I sort of see it, if they are magically inclined, they kind of start as sorcerer, where they have like a natural upspring of power, and then become a wizard by training. Like they go to school, or they go to the Kirin Tor get them, or whatever. They're given to a mentorship underneath another mage, and they're actually taught that versus letting them naturally grow. That's my take on how the universe works. Don't know if that's accurate or not, but seems like it.
Liz?
Well, Joe and I are reading this question very differently, because when I read this question, I thought Verdigree was talking about Diablo. Because in Diablo...
Right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in Diablo, you have had multiple magic casting classes, and there's a wizard and there's a sorcerer. The Diablo 4 has a sorcerer. Diablo 3 had the wizard. I think Diablo 2 had the sorcerer. And they are a little different. In that context, I'm going to say wizards. Done. I'm done.
Phil?
I agree with Joe. I think it's both, in that it seems like you need a natural capability for it, but also think of all the times in Warcraft lore where somebody has specifically taught someone else to be a mage. When the elves taught exactly 100 humans how to be mages, or when the blue dragons, I guess, presumably taught magic to mortals, which Malagos later decided was a bad decision. But I would also posit that they are tapping into a broader extra-dimensional force that maybe they shouldn't be tampering with. And so I would say that in addition to wizards and sorcerers, Warcraft mages are also warlocks. Sorry, warlocks.
Oh, interesting. I was going to say artificers.
Oh.
So, yeah, I'm saying artificers. That's it for questions, because the last one's kind of going to be big and long, how long to answer. And I want to get some food. So, Joe.
Blizzard Watch is made possible due to the generous contributions at patreon.com/BlizzardWatch. Your continued support means that this podcast signing community is able to thrive and grow. Blizzard Watch supporters enjoy exclusive benefits like early access to the podcast, a better chance at having your question answered on our podcast, or the queue, and an ads-free site experience.
Thank you very much, Joe. Special thank you to Phil for coming on the show with us, and also for being forced to come on to the next Tavern Watch we do. Sorry. Apparently, Joe's going to come to your house with a bag or a net, or perhaps a net.
I don't think it's going to take much for me to drag Phil onto the show there.
Yeah, but, no. You've got the bag and the net, so might as well use them, man. Anyway, in addition to that, of course, thanks to Joe for really that pre-show discussion of the Player's Handbook. I really enjoyed that, so thank you for that. And thank you to Liz for allowing me to do these things. Like, really, she could stop me at any time. All these weird things I say, she could just stop me. I'd have to sit in the corner and just be, okay, yeah, it's fine. And she doesn't make me do that, so I'm happy. So thank you, Liz.
Oh, okay. I wasn't planning on stopping you, but okay,
there,
I'll take it.
Exactly.
I'll take it.
You weren't planning on it. That's the great thing.
Well, now I'm thinking about it.
Oh yeah, but eventually you were going to. Someone's going to stop me sooner or later. Anyway. This has been the Blizzard Watch podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Again, if you have a question for the podcast, you can go to our Discord, and we have 2 servers for that. The Q&A Podcast Questions channel for everybody, and the Patreon Q&A Podcast Questions channel for folks who want to give us money, because we enjoy being able to actually make this podcast. So when you do that, you support the site. It helps us do all the stuff we do. So thank you very much. This has been the Blizzard Watch podcast, and we'll be back next week.